Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports back in the video. And today, the Houston Astros beat the Washington Nationals to start off spring training 7-4 in the opener of spring training. And the Astros kick off right where they left off last spring. If you guys don't remember, this is nowhere near to as good as where they left off last spring. But in the last spring training game for the Houston Astros, before the 2023 season started, the last spring training game, the Houston Astros beat the St. Louis Cardinals 24-1. This is not as near 7 runs scored today. That's not bad for a spring training opening game at all. The Astros beat the Nationals 7-4 and start off spring training 1-0, and the Nationals start off 0-1. And really only had 2 guys that, if you look at this lineup today, really only had 2 guys that will probably be playing on the opening day on the opening day lineup. There are a lot of guys that will be on the opening day roster that played today. Victor Cartini, Jake Myers, Mauricio Dubon, and Chas McCormick, the 2 guys that will actually be, will be on the opening day lineup. And there are a couple other guys. Greg Kessinger, who started today at the 9 spot, will most likely be on the roster. So same thing goes with John Singleton, but only 2 guys that will be an everyday starter for the Astros this season, most likely, and that's Mauricio Dubon and Chas McCormick. I would think you're tomorrow playing 2 games. The Astros play 2 games tomorrow, 12:05 and 12:10. Still really never understood the doubleheaders where you play 2 games at once, but I think that'll be interesting tomorrow. I think we'll see some more starters for the Astros tomorrow. If I had to guess, I wouldn't be surprised if you see 3 guys like Jose Altuve, Yainer Diaz, and possibly Kyle Tucker tomorrow. Maybe even possibly Jeremy Pena as well. But I think tomorrow and possibly throughout the week, you will start to see more of the Astros' main players start to get more action, very well possibly. But this is a great way to start off spring training. Astros get to win 7-4. They slowly started to blow this lead a little bit. They were up 7-0. Nationals scored 1 in the 4th, scored 2 in the 5th, and 1 in the 8th. And we're getting some hits, too, later in the game. So 7-4 is final score. 8 hits for the Astros, 11 for the Nationals. Nationals made 2 errors in this ballgame, 1 error for the Astros. Win goes to pitcher Taylor Scott. He's 1-0 on spring. Of course, pitched 1 inning, and the 1 inning he pitched for the Astros today, which was the 3rd inning for Houston. He gave up 0 hits, 0 runs, 1 strikeout, 0 walks. Loss goes to Patrick Corbin, the starter for the Nationals today. He's 0-1. Pitched nearly 2 innings, 1.2 innings pitched, 3 hits. Giving up 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and 0 walks. Save goes to Gomez. His first of spring, of course, pitched the 9th. Gave it 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 0 strikeouts, 0 walks. Scoring summary. So, all the runs that were scored were in the first 3 innings, and they were all by players that most likely will be on the opening day roster. Now, Corey Julks, he'll have to earn that spot, but he didn't do terrible today to start off spring. So, first inning, the player of the game, and on pace to potentially be spring MVP, Mauricio Dubon with an RBI single to center. McCormick scored. It's 1-0. Then in the first inning, Jake Myers singles to center. Dubon scored. Cartini to third. It's 2-0. Then second inning, Cartini with a RBI double to center. Dubon scored and McCormick scored. It's 4-0. Second inning, Corey Julks with the RBI single to left. Cartini scored and Singleton scored 2 RBIs for Julks. Myers to third, 6-0. Then Dubon with another RBI. Dubon single to left. Hamilton scored. Quincy Hamilton at 7-0. So after all that, Cartini ends the day with 2 RBIs. So does Corey Julks. So does Dubon. And Jake Myers has one for himself as well. So let's go over the Astros individual batters. Chas McCormick to start off spring training, not a bad day. 1 for 2. Started off with a first inning triple, had a second inning walk, and scored 2 runs in this ball game. Third and final at bat was a fly out. He was replaced by Tyler Whitaker, who struck out and grounded out in his 2 at bats. He played left field. Mauricio Dubon was 3 for 3, best player of the game for the Astros today. Single to center, McCormick scored. Single to center, McCormick to third in the second. Then in third, single to left. Hamilton scored 2 RBIs for Dubon, scored 2 runs, 3 for 3. He was replaced by Hernandez, who was 0 for 2, grounded out to shortstop, and grounded out to first. Victor Caratini played catcher today for the Astros. He was 1 for 1. He was hit by a pitch in the first, Dubon to second. He had the RBI double in the second. He was hit by pitch again in the third. And in the fifth inning, he walked. So had 4 at-bats, but only 1 official at-bat. He was replaced by Garcia, who struck out swinging in his only bat and was a pinch runner and then ended up playing first base rest of the day. John Singleton was 0 for 2 today. He did have a walk and reach first base on catcher's interference in the second inning. But in his 2 other at-bats, he struck out and popped out to second, and he had 1 run in this ball game as well. He was replaced by catcher Cesar Salazar, who played catcher in this game after Singleton left. He, in his only at-bat, had a flyout. Jake Myers was 1 for 2 today. He had a walk that loaded the bases up in the second. In the first inning, he had an RBI single. For Jake Myers, this is a very important spring, and this is a good way for him to start off spring. Very important spring training for him. He was replaced by Justin Dearden, who, if you guys remember, went off for the Astros. Last spring, and even was a snub to potentially make the opening day roster. He had 2 at-bats today. He flied out to right, and he had a walk in the ninth. Corey Julks was 1 for 3 today. RBI single, struck out, and grounded out to third. He was replaced by Zach Daniels. He was 0 for 2 and played right field, grounded out, and struck out. David Hensley, we saw him struggle massively, but not terrible. Wasn't great, but struck out swinging twice and single to right. And Hensley was replaced by Stevens, third baseman, and in his 2 at-bats, he grounded out to shortstop and struck out swinging. Quincy Hamilton was 0 for 2. He reached on a first base catcher's interference, 2 catcher's interference in this game, and he struck out and popped out in his 2 other at-bats. Pedro Leon was 0 for 1 because he replaced Hamilton, and his only at-bat, he grounded out to shortstop. And then Greg Kessinger was 0 for 3 today, struck out twice, and grounded out to third. He was replaced by, I'm going to try to say this name right, but Basadas. I probably didn't say his name right, but in his only at-bat, he lined out in the 7th. Rest of the Astros pitching, Ronald Blanco got the start for the Astros today. He was really solid, and he's trying to potentially get a spot in the bullpen. He pitched 2 innings, gave it 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. How about a guy who is trying to get a spot in the bullpen and probably wasn't a great first impression? Dylan Coleman pitched in the 4th inning, gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Now, going backwards, 3rd inning was Taylor Scott, who got the win. Already covered what he did. Misael Tamirez got some action. He is a prospect for the Astros. The Astros really like him, and at one point would like to get him on the roster. Not the opening day roster. At some point, they'd like to get him to the majors, and have refused to trade him. Misael Tamirez pitched in the 5th inning for the Astros, gave it 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. Drew Strotman was not bad at all. Pitched the 6th inning, gave it 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, and I'll be honest, the other pitches that really played through the 7th through 9th really didn't know any of them, to be honest. You have Contreras, who pitched in the 7th, gave it 1 hit with 1 strikeout. You have McDonald, pitched in the 8th with 2 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned run, and 1 strikeout. And you have Gomez, who pitched in the 9th, gave it 1 hit and got the save. Let's go over some stuff for the Nationals for fun. Nationals, they actually played some of their main players in this game. C.J. Abrams was 1 for 2 and got the start at shortstop. Also, Lane Thomas was 1 for 2, got the start at right field. Joey Gallo played today at first base, was 0 for 2. Jesse Winker was 1 for 2, playing left field today. Nick Senzel started at third base. Luis Garcia Jr., not our Luis Garcia, their Luis Garcia, was 0 for 2 and started at second base. So some of their main players were starting today. Basically, Astros bench went up against a lot of the National starters. Not all of them, but a good chunk of their starters, and they really got to the first 2 pitchers for the Nationals. They got to Patrick Corbin, 3 hits off him, 2 earned runs. They got to the second pitcher, Adon, who pitched the last out of the 2nd inning and the first 2 outs of the third. He pitched the first 2 outs of first 2 outs of the second, first 2 outs. He pitched the first 2 outs of the third, and he pitched the last out of the second. They got to him, he gave it 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. So the Astros lineup, they got to the first 2 hitters, and then really after the first 2 hitters, you saw Joe Espada in his first game as the Astros manager take all those players out like Dubon, McCormick, Caratini, John Singleton, Jake Myers, all those guys that were starting off, Corey Julks, all came out. So yeah, great way to start off spring. Can't wait to see who plays tomorrow, who is in the lineup tomorrow in both games, and excited. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out. Go Astros.